car trip that they took. I think it was in 1964, perhaps. They were heading off to different universities. Greig was heading off to McGill, and the other person was heading off to Princeton, and so they decided to drive across the country together. And they both had cars, which probably none of us would choose for a journey like that. Greig had an NSU Prince, a very unique vehicle, made by a company whose primary product is sewing machines, I believe. And I somehow have the impression that perhaps not the same motor, but a similar kind of motor is used in both of those devices, in both the car and the sewing machine. And the Prince was somewhat underpowered, but on a slight downhill slope with the wind behind it, it could attain highway speeds. This is how the friend described it. And the friend was driving a somewhat more stylish ride. I think an MGTC. Again, a stylish automobile. Not the car I would choose for a cross-country journey, but of course, in our 20s, we all do adventurous things. And so they set off and drove across the country, and I think it was relatively uneventful. The friend was quite excited to remember that he was carrying with him in his car some paintings that he bought in England by famous artists, and which he still has, and which now have a significant value. And they were just kept in the MG behind the seat, and there were no locks, of course, on the doors of an MGTC. So they made this trip across the country, and they parted company in Toronto. Greig went off down the 401 to Montreal to go to McGill, and they saw each other about a year later, and it was in Montreal. The friend went to Montreal to visit and connected with Greig, and the most evocative detail he could remember from that visit was that when he visited Greig at home, Greig was keeping his books in the fridge, and that somehow attracted the notice of the friend. I guess that was eccentric even for those times. But they seem to have known each other very well. They subsequently were at Princeton together, and this friend was very grateful for an opportunity to talk about his memories of Greig, and remembered him very, very fondly. So just in the spirit of gathering together those memories, I just invite you to just reflect. I'll play some music, as mentioned, by Joni Mitchell, a familiar song, and that will provide an opportunity for some reflection.